Good day, all. Wanted to jump on here and talk about kind of recent change in my gear, and also kind of a I I finally was able to finally getting settled in my new relatively new place here, and wanted to go ahead and jump on and kind of just show you guys my origins, my first camera. This was my first camera. It's a film camera. Um, Olympus pen, nothing fancy. It was a hand-me-down, one of my dad's old cameras. And this was the camera I used probably, wow, probably for the first 10 years, when I was like 15, 16 years old, and all the way through college, I used this camera. And I loved this form factor. I love this. So again, nothing fancy, just Olympus pen. Um, Very popular pen. You actually were able to go ahead in a standard roll of film. You actually were able to get two exposures per frame. So you actually, instead of like a 30 or so, I think you got like 60 or 65 shots per roll of film. So it was also somewhat budget friendly. Um, but yeah, this thing still works. Still works. Still kicking. But that's where I'm coming from. So I'll give you some background on what we're going to talk about. That is why I've kind of been drawn to the smaller form factor, smaller cameras of Leica, and that's what kind of eventually got me into the SL system now, and wanting to kind of just have one system, so that way I don't have two separate systems or three separate systems. I'm balancing between, and this way I can go ahead and have M lenses and still use them on an SL body. Yeah, you can do that with E mount too, but I just like having one cohesive system, and for me, it's more efficient. You know, one set of light triggers. You don't have to have two. All these kind of things. Well, I had the M11 for quite a while. I still love that camera, but it got to a point where I had an opportunity, and these are pretty hard to come by. I had an opportunity to get a Q3. Now, I first got wrapped up and enamored with Leica cameras firsthand with the Q2. That was my first purchase. I tried that camera out at a Leica store, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I borrowed it, and there was a reporter edition because I'm watching too many YouTube videos of Peter McKinnon, and I got that Q2. I love that camera. I love that camera. Um, this kind of popped up, I decided to get it. Why? I still miss the M11. Don't get me wrong, and I think I definitely want to have an M in the future. Again, if money was no option, I would have kept it. But with this camera, I have autofocus. Yes, I don't have the ability to change lenses, but I have autofocus. It's a compact form factor. It is more weather resistant. So if it's raining or whatnot, I can go ahead and bring this out. I do have the flip screen on here on the Q3, which I didn't have with the Q2. So why? For me, to have a camera, a daily carry, because I do have a small child who's running around and whatnot, the autofocus helps. Was I able to take shots with the camera? Absolutely. Absolutely. I was able to get some amazing images of my little one running around, no problem. Is it a little bit harder? Yeah. But you still can. Just for me, this is something that I can still bring to a professional shoot. The Q2 as a side camera. I wouldn't rely on this, but to kind of give some different looks, and to use the 28 millimeter. And it's something that's more practical for me for personal use, especially with a small child. So kind of specific to me. That's why it worked for me. Um, Now, even though I'm talking about how I got rid, I do want to kind of talk about some really positive things about the M11. Still, really have a lot of respect and admiration for that whole system. Some of the pros that are just undeniable, even still, and why I would like to go is that image quality of those images. Even looking back on some of the images I've taken with that over this past year, especially in nighttime. And I don't think people are talking about this enough. I know I've mentioned it in prior videos, but the images, the crispness, the sharpness, the utter absence of noise in like pitch black is amazing. And that's not, this isn't the monochrono, it's just the regular M11 that I had. It's just amazing. Even looking back now, it's yet to be determined if the SL3 or the Q3 will go ahead and kind of be able to be comparable at nighttime. They're still really good. The amount of noise and low light shots is amazing with these cameras. But there's just something next level with that M11. And I've kind of touched upon it before. It's just like a hypothesis of mine. I don't know if this is a true thing. I don't know if it's the lack of autofocus sensors with that camera, but just something about those images. It's amazing. It's something very unique. Okay. In addition to that, the the fact that you're forced to use manual focus, it's definitely changed the way I shoot. I think I've now able to appreciate the speed of manual focus. Um, there are some instances where you just need autofocus, sports photography. Still, with the way I like to shoot portraits, I do like to capture movement. I do like to capture the hair whipping around. So autofocus does have a place there. But if you're taking landscape shots, street shots, there's something just quick and really responsive and really gratifying about just grabbing the camera and just focusing it, clicking the shot. You're not messing around with autofocus system. You're not moving a joystick. You have the camera, you have your hand on your lens, and you just take the shot. And it's quick, it's responsive, and you get exactly what you want. It is quicker and it's gratifying, and it has changed the way I shoot. Whether I'm using my SL system and I'm using M lenses, or even the SL lenses, and even with this Q, I find myself using manual focus more, especially in those circumstances. Like, I will default to manual focus unless I really need the autofocus. A lot of times, especially with this camera, not so much with the SL, because that's usually what I'm using for paid work, and that's usually on autofocus. This thing by default, when I pick it up, it's usually on manual focus. I usually have the ring disengaged, and I'm just focusing manually. I love it. So it has changed the way I shoot in that respects. Some of the cons, and one of the reasons why it just wasn't practical for me, was the durability on that. I didn't have any issues. Didn't have any issues with the camera locking up, anything more than any other camera I've had. Every once in a while you got to take out the bed, but I didn't really have any issues. I'm not going to say I did, because I didn't. Maybe I was lucky or whatnot, but I didn't. That camera was flawless. It was amazing. But it's just durability that's inherent with the M system. It's not weather sealed. And though I didn't have an issue with the rangefinder getting knocked, I kind of wanted to quit while I was ahead, because I didn't know what that experience was going to be like from talking to other Leica users. I've heard some stories about it taking a while, and that being in the States, you have to ship it to Germany to get it repaired by a certified Leica technician. Haven't really heard a definitive answer whether their repair center in New Jersey is able to fix the rangefinders, or to tune that. I've also heard people saying it's very easy for you to do it yourself. I don't know. That always kind of was in the back of my head. I love that camera, but that was always in the back of my head. Again, never got to a point where that was an issue. But I know I was definitely babying that camera more than I babied any other camera, just because of that, because I didn't want it to get knocked. This thing, I don't have that issue. It's a little bit smaller in hand, and as you can see, These are the cameras I'm used. This is why I was drawn to the Leica system. This is the camera I started my photography journey with. So, when that's what you started with, and you've got an emotional kind of, there's some nostalgia to that form factor. This is why I love using these cameras, because it brings me back to those original days when I first started falling in love and exploring photography. So that's what it is there. Another thing with this, and the reason why I jumped on to this when I had the opportunity over the M11 is, yeah, the fact that you can't capture video. I really surprising. I didn't really capture a whole lot of video with the Q2. Again, that was contrast based. And I don't know, I just didn't really try. I knew it could take video, but I never really did it too much. With this thing, man, I'm taking more and more video with this, and it looks amazing. Like, I'll shoot video at wide open, 1.7, 2.8, shooting my little one, running around. This thing just locks on. Locks on. I don't, I go ahead, and the settings I have for video on this is not a log format. I just use the natural color profile on here. And it's a lower bit rate, so that way I can go ahead and just export it directly through the app, which, again, I've said this a million times. The Leica app is amazing. I, more often than not, will download images through the app than I will just taking the memory card out. And I'm able to take those videos down through the app. If you have a lower bit rate, you can do that. If I'm shooting log, like I'm shooting the video right now, you got to actually export it through the SD card. But with this thing, because most of the time I'm taking video, it's just for fun, I'm able to go and do that. And the image quality and the videos are amazing. I don't have that with the M. So again, it's just the season of life I'm at. It's the way I'm using these cameras. This seemed more practical for me. And it was somewhat of a backup in a pinch. If I'm at a shoot, at least I got a second body that I can still take and get most of the stuff absent of the longer focal lengths than I can with the SL. So this is kind of a backup, and it's still going to give me that same color science and the same kind of quality of video. So that's what I did. As a final thought, yeah, would I want another M? Yeah, eventually I would. I think I'm going to hold off to see. I know this could be blasphemy. If they ever come out, and there's some rumors with the M12 coming out with maybe a hybrid viewfinder. If they do, or if they just go away with the rangefinder and they just go to like the standard electronic viewfinder like we have in the Q, yeah, I would get one. I know this crazy talk. I know. Purists are probably going to stop, but yeah, I would probably get one. I would probably get one, because then you don't have to worry about bumping the rangefinder or having to kind of realign anything. And so me, I just like, life's complicated. I like keeping things as simple as possible. Minimalist, stream it down, and keep it nice and clean. So yeah, I would definitely think about that. All right, this is kind of a ramble video, but I don't know, hopefully beneficial. Um, yeah, that's all I got. All right, enjoy. And I'm loving this thing. Loving it. Loving it. Love the M11 too. If you have those, oh, still want one. But for me right now, this is my number one, and I love it. All right. Thanks, guys.